Hey. My name is Darius D. McKinney. This is Let's Talk Human podcast. And I will randomly come on here and just have a human conversation with you guys. That's what I'm doing with this podcast. I have another podcast called Individual Perspective Podcast, but what we're talking about here is you always kind of like when you're doing podcasting the way I do it, you do a lot of research and grab clips and grab something to represent what you're talking about so it can be communicated effectively for the foreseeable future. You know what I mean? I say forever. But sometimes you just want to come on and you want to have a human conversation, okay? Um the what made me want to come on today was I was watching Chris Williams on um Tucker Carlson's show talk about men and talk about the ideological way of success and everything like that. And it's just, everybody has a persona that they have to keep up with and that they have to present in order to make their money or keep their following or something like that, that it stops them from having really true, pure human conversation because it's just, they want to save face. The persona is the issue, and I'm saying like, okay, we got to rule a verdict now. If men have been kind of not on the positive end of civilization, and the need is for men to step up and men to rejuvenate themselves and get back in power, or at least have some more sustainable, stable self-esteem of themselves. We had about six to 8 years now that we tested that model, that we tested that theory. Now, end results is okay from the pandemic to now, because most of the podcasts that you listen to, they all kind of came pretty much from 2020 to now. That's where they millions and hundreds of millions of dollars come from. Them being able to talk to men, to advocate the different things that men go through or whatever gave them a fire. You may have people that had big businesses and big mogul companies, and then they got into the actual podcast manosphere and self-help conversation and talking and podcasting and everything like that. But literally the heart and soul of a vibrant industry of podcasting really has come from the pandemic, from I'll say 2020 to now. Okay, yes, there were people like Tommy Sotomayor. He was doing it in 2007, 2008. You know what I mean? You had major people that were pretty much had their hands in it, like pretty much in the infancy of YouTube and social media platforms and everything. Because you got to remember, like 99% of all social media comes from 2007. That was when it first kind of really started. You know what I mean? So I'm coming on with my podcast. I've been doing this since I would say heavily that I could say that I have done a good body of work to represent myself as a podcaster. I've been kind of doing it from 2000 and I'll say 14. I did a lot of it from 2008, 2009, but it wasn't so mainstream. It wasn't so out there for the major public. I kind of had a website, and I would take my clips and I would put them on my website, and had a whole page full of just different audio clips that you could just come in and click on. That's how I was doing it for like 3-4 years. And then the 2016 election, I came in it because I just felt like it was just such a powerful thing. So I started to pretty much do heavy 3-hour podcasts from 2015. Like literally when Trump announced his candidacy. And that's a whole nother thing. I'm not here to kind of get you guys on the right wing or the left wing or anything like that. I want to have a conversation with you. Most I want is we will be having conversations about our political views and all the other stuff, but we will make sure that we use the sporadic method. That's a mindset and a thought process and a way of communication from Socrates. That you should never like have someone say something and you feel heavily that it's an inaccurate, and you don't place it on the table, that feeling that you feel that it's inaccurate. You need to present yourself, present your side of the point. Then both parties or both communicators kind of go through the nuts and cranny of it, and then whoever can withstand their argument or their side of point of view, they can hold it, will hold up to scrutiny. And if we don't communicate an idea to its efficiency, then it can't hold up to scrutiny, and then you'll have a population of people adopting something that's truly inaccurate. And that's has happened to our society because we won't conversate, won't have it out. And I think we do a disservice to humanity. We do a disservice to each other when we just don't have it out. So I just feel that it's for the last 20 to 30 years of society, we can kind of rule now. It's too much data now. It's too much mathematics. It's too much surveys. It's too much conversation. It's too much factual human interaction that we can use as proof and facts and data. It's just too much to say that the way we've been going about this is good and accurate and sustainable. It's not. It's breaking down society, and it's making society pointless. Really, it is. So I wanted to come on and communicate my point of view to certain things. And I want to, if this is going to be my first thing, I want to come into very successful podcasters. And let me start by saying to men that you are your own influencer. The trick is that you need an influencer. The trick is that you need consultation. The trick is that you need level up culture to inject self-esteem into you. It's like a drug addict. You can't really, or alcoholic, can't really stop them from being an alcoholic or a drug addict until they're ready. They have to be ready. They have to see an epiphany. They have to see something that just awakens them. Say, nope, I'm not gonna destroy my life and my purpose and my ability and my skill level to who I am as a human being and my fit and how I can actually provide prominence or value to the world. I'm not gonna destroy it with this alcohol or this drug addiction stuff. I want to be me. I don't want to be the substance that society has placed on me and placed in, and they awaken and they never really go back, ever really go back. That's how it is for influencers and level up culture and manosphere advisor consultation and all that stuff like that. You could pay money, you could do all kind of stuff that you need to do to kind of listen to this stuff and ingest it and get on some one-on-one session stuff. But you are the one that channeled information and did it. It's not that this person has such a value that they made you do it. You were just ready. You're just ready to adopt anything and move the ball ahead. And people don't give themselves that credit because we have built a society that in order for us to give validation to ourselves, we must get it exterior from ourselves. We must get it outside of ourselves. And I fall victim to this. I've lived a life where I kind of like gave fellowship and equilibrium to people that was in my life, family, friends, co-workers, all that stuff. And the truth of the matter is no one can give you but you. no one can give you your true essence but you. So I took on that 2018. I decided to go into my field heavily. I'm a filmmaker. I know this. Everybody say, well, everybody want to be a filmmaker. Everybody want to be an actor. Everybody want to be a media person. But trust me, I spent decades really making sure I knew what the hell I was doing. That you could drop me off a plane in Japan, China, anywhere, and I could build an infrastructure of great filmmaking in that infrastructure. So I have that ability, and I told myself it's time for me to go tell the stories that I want to tell and uh, use my high skill level, because it's not only just writing a script, it's cinematography, it's scientific coloring and editing, and it's also, for me, I built apps, I built websites, I built database infrastructures. I'm really highly into, and I'm my 10,000 hours and more is into all that stuff. I don't just spitball it. I really know how to effectively and efficiently do it. So I wasn't really using that skill level that much. I was one foot in and one foot out. But I told myself in 2018 I was going to give it all. You at least on your deathbed owe yourself at least a decade where you actually did your true essence and who you really are and what your really ambitions and what really drives you. You should give at least a decade to that. Why live 50, 60, 70 years and you on your deathbed just didn't give it you? You didn't even enjoy your life, or not even enjoy. You didn't give the fight of your life your fight. You were fighting life to somebody else's standards, paying bills and all this other crazy stuff. Sometimes you got to throw caution to the wind and you just got to do it. And that's what I did. And came out pretty strong. I'm releasing about 6 movies I did over the last 6 to 8 years. I did a hardcore edit over the last couple years on those movies. And you'll be seeing them pop up all over the place. And I'll come on here and talk about them too. But that's not my point. My point is that you give yourself value and true essence. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to play this clip of Tucker Carlson talking to this gentleman, and I wanted to show you the trick in conversation that's going on it's pretty dangerous for people that are seeking exterior idealism, truth, and motivation. Okay, so let me go to this real quick. So let me bring this onto screen. See it? Let me see if I can hear the audio. Go back a little bit. Yeah, I don't think you guys can hear the audio. So audio. 1 second, so okay. Okay, let's see. It was a little loud, so let me turn that down a little bit. It was a little loud, so let me turn it down. Let me see how that sounds.
A component in every gig, every performance, and you're getting questions directly from young men. What kind of questions are you getting consistently?
Oh, a lot of them around directionlessness. I'm out of full-time education. I'm in my early 20s, or I've just left a relationship, or I've worked for a while and got myself to a state of success that felt unfulfilling to me, and I don't know where to go. And I think that this sort of speaks to the lost archetypes, the train tracks, and the examples that would have previously been laid out for young men. And directionlessness is a huge one. Trying to find a balance between drive to improve and gratitude and self-love for the moment. The sort of you are enough versus hustle bro blend. Guys want to be able to go and conquer. They want to really achieve things in the world. But also they realize that if they're permanently looking over the shoulder of the present moment, waiting to see what comes next, they might miss their lives. You know, there's this idea called the delayed happiness hypothesis, which is basically that as people move through life, they always promise that happiness will arrive when. Once I have got the graduation, once I have got the next job, once I have got the girlfriend, once I have got the house, once I've paid off the mortgage. And what you realize is that this idyll that you are running toward is actually your death, and you've just speed ran your entire life. And I think that they're becoming increasingly more aware of that, which is good. I think it
is good.
A balance between wanting to be more and being enough already. And this is a tension that exists inside the mind of everyone, but I think men especially. And those are two big challenges. I'm stuck in terms of direction. I don't know where to go. And I'm trying to balance high standards with self-love.
I don't know where to go. So they've completed the task set before them. They made it through in the U.S. 16 years of school. And they get all their little merit badges or whatever. They're graded along the way, and everyone's so proud. And then they graduate, and they kind of like they've.
Okay, so that's just kind of I wanted to kind of let him kind of do the introduction of it and everything. This is Tucker Carlson show and everything. So I don't want to take up everything on his show and everything. It's an hour and 50 minutes, but I want to kind of introduce that discussion to let you know what's the introduction of what they're talking about. So when we go listen to the rest of it, you'll get it a little bit more in syncly to why I'm challenging it. Something that he said in here. So let me let the show come on, and then we'll get into it.
Made it through in the U.S. 16 years of school. And they get all their little merit badges or whatever. They're graded along the way, and everyone's so proud. And then they graduate, and they kind of like they have no idea what to do.
I felt this. I did.
Okay, so this is Tucker Carlson show, and this is with Chris Williams, and he's a podcaster and everything like that, and he's kind of got his hand in like correcting men and making them step up and all that stuff, and that's one of the major things I want to talk to you guys about, because it is very interesting, so let me see. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure my live is going, and hopefully you guys see it. Obviously, with the counter, you don't see it. So let me try my best to get this on. And I just want to monitor it, make sure that it's going. I think it is. So let's see. Stream condition is healthy. Okay. Analytics is good. Okay, everything is good. Okay, guys. I'll just kind of make sure off. Okay. Okay. So that lets me know that it's live. That you hear that? That lets me know it's going good. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So we're gonna go to the conversation because he says something in this part that they're about to start. That's the whole reason why I came on here. So let me play it, and then we'll kind of go through the conversation of why I'm even doing this podcast on this. So let's get right into it.
2 degrees, a bachelor's and a master's at university with a year in industry as well. So I was at uni for 5 full years. I was in.
Yeah.
And what you realize is that this gratitude and self-love for the moment. I felt this. I did 2 degrees, a bachelor's and a master's at university with a year in industry as well. So I was at uni for 5 full years. I was in full-time education for 18 years. And it's kind of like being on a set of train tracks for a long time. And yeah, you're sort of a passenger and you get to move up and down the carriage and contribute a little bit. And, but the destination that you're going toward has been prescribed for you. And then it's kind of like being thrown off the train into a car with no roads, just saying, hey, good luck. Like, try and find your way. And I think that the challenge is a lot of the rules and the advice that would have worked for grandfathers and maybe even fathers of these guys, the archetypes and the roles that they would have previously stepped into aren't there in quite the same way. There's been a lot of structural changes that have adjusted the landscape that men and boys exist in over the last 50 years. And that means that a lot of the role models and examples and well-trodden paths don't feel like they're there in the same kind of way. So navigating those structural changes as a young man is not easy.
So what did you take your degrees in? What did you study?
Bachelor's in business and a master's in international marketing. I can't remember either of them.
And then did you
see that? That was one of my major points that I wanted to make. He asked him, what did you get your degree in and stuff like that? And he was saying a master in business and bachelor's in international marketing and everything like that. And I don't really remember none of it. Your whole career as a podcaster is that you use your business acumen to be a successful podcaster. He's successful. These sets that you're looking at, this production level that they have, this is Tucker stuff, and obviously Tucker got some. He put it look. Tell you guys this. We're normal people, but these people are out of the norm. Out of the norm. It's a lot of them. You get Anton Daniels. You have Tucker Carlson. You have Candace Owens. You have was Charlie Kirk, and I'm gonna be on that. Update that episode too, because I got a lot to say about that. A lot of the major people we all look up to, even like a lot of the black podcasters, what's his name? I can't even remember his name. With the dreads, and he got, I don't even remember it. Like, he's a very popular guy. Sorry, guys, but it's a lot of podcasters that we look up to, or not look up to, where we kind of watch and we view them. These people, they don't even start this stuff without $250,000. Fresh and Fit, all them, you think they started that without $250,000? They like, no matter what you say, they had $250,000 backing. They maybe didn't want to put it all in the beginning, but they had it. At any given time, they could throw $250,000 to it. If I was to say, if you want to be an extremely successful podcaster, you have to have $250,000. But that's to anything in this country. If you want to have a successful restaurant, if you want to have a successful food truck, if you want to have a successful jewelry company, you want to have a successful clothing line, you want to have a successful movie career, you want to have a successful anything, you're going to have to throw $250,000 at it. Look, this is all facts. They're not going to say this to you. They're going to make you think like you could be like Chris Cardone and go on, becoming a millionaire, what they call that, undercover boss, and you could have nothing and get to $1 million, or like create $1 billion company or some crazy stuff like that. And this all comes from what you already got, what you already know you have at home in your bank account. All what you have is an attitude it's a certain way of communication and in interacting that you will have when you know you got the proper backing, you got the proper infrastructure. You don't walk into a coffee shop and talk to a person about your business or what you want to kind of partner with them to do or something if you don't have your business ready, if you don't have the infancy of it ready, if you don't have the ability to do it ready. Your conversation, the way you communicate, is all based on what you know. It's the knowing, the condition you know that can be done. So my biggest problem is with a lot of these podcasters, a lot of these social influencers, a lot of this level up culture is that they deal with the person across to them that they're giving advice to, that they're communicating to, as if they not wearing, they don't have it pushed into their veins. I already got a certain kind of money in the bank. I'm driving this kind of car. I have this kind of education. I've been through this and I overcame it. That I actually knew what my pitfalls was. I understood what the errors was, and I'm of knowing what it takes to do what I'm telling you to do. I already know it. I already did it. I already did it and failed, did it again and lost, and did it again and succeeded. And I understood my errors and my corrections. And now I exactly know how to do it 1,000,000 times the same exact way and get this 1,000,000 success. Because I done it enough to understand if you do that, you can't wait. You can't do nothing but fail. If you do that, you can't do nothing but lose. If you do that, I kind of know. So they never tell people that. So when he said, like, okay, what did you get your degree in? He said, master in business and bachelor's in international marketing, and I don't remember none of it. That's con talk. That's persuasive talk. You're not having a real human conversation. The truth of the matter is, absolutely, a lot of your international marketing business mind or understanding of international marketing went into how to put a podcast on and how to influence people and how to be consistent and how to emote your point, your platform to an audience or to a certain kind of demographic to build a sales funnel. That's where your business, that's where your international marketing come into play. And you use that same structure to get viewers and advertisers and stuff like that. That's why he has an go look him up, Chris Williams. That's why he has an extremely successful system there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at him. His name is Chris Williamson. I'm sorry. That was my fault. Okay. So he has a strong system, but he has a strong system because he has information and education and in a wield in an aggressive personality that has a lot of for sureness to it. And that comes from the education you have, and you know this works and this doesn't. And so that's what I mean by having a human conversation. So when I say let's talk human, I mean let's stop the persona. Let's stop how we want to be perceived in the conversation we're having and have the conversation. Have the conversation. You wonder, like, okay, how Tyler Perry and Oprah and Jay-Z and all these people got so much success, and no matter how many conversations they have, no matter how much music they have, no matter how much interviews they have, it is not connecting with the people that watch everything and listen to everything they do. Why is it not connected? Why are they not following the formula that these people are going in and improving their lives and finding some way to find solutions in their life? It's because we can't connect. We can't connect. We can't use what you just told me or what you just said in this song, or what you just wrote in this book. We can't use that in real life situations. It doesn't. It has no. It has no connection of dots. It has no spider web understanding where that leads to this, that leads to this, that leads to this, that outcome is this. And that's by design. That's by design. It's so weird. One thing that celebrities and the people of higher status and people that get over $150,000 of economical value to their yearly day-to-day life, the reason why they instinctively act the same, where they can't communicate anything when they're communicating that is some substance that anybody can grab a hold to, is because it's this, we can't have so many people trying to be successful, because if you do that, it becomes too noisy, where my success can't be easily done or effortlessly done or keep it systematic to what I've already built. That's why you're having a lot of this breakage in manosphere world. Men have been watching podcasts for the last 5 years, hardcore, hundreds of hours, constantly doing it. They've been going to people's Patreons, and they've been going to people's like their seminars and all this stuff, buying their books, buying their classes, doing their investments and stuff, and they still fall through the cracks, and they just can't put it into motion. For me, I had a goal, and I kind of lived my life where 96 to, I'll say, to early 2000 stuff, I kind of said, like, I want to kind of make sure that I take a little bit more control of what's going on with what's happening in my life and everything. And then from where I come from inner city and stuff. So for me, what was success for me was to have a good job. It's like most people that was like working in the inner city, they were making like McDonald's wages, where you get paid like $8, $10, and then like, you're making like, you're lucky $25 a year, $25,000 a year, and that would be like a consistent job. Ford, GM, Chrysler, workers, they were making about 50, 60,000, and that would be a very successful life with your grandparents and your parents, if they were lucky to kind of get into like the automotive industry, something like that. They were kind of making it with substantial men, So 60 grand was like, you could dominate. You know what I mean? So it then comes into my generation where you had to make about $60,000 to $100,000 to be even like see that you could be respected a little bit and everything like that. And now the modern day kind of economic value is you gotta be $100,000 to $300,000 value in order for you to be human. Like women won't respect you, your peers won't respect you. It's like society won't respect you unless you're making that kind of money. You know what I mean? So in my situation, I said, I kind of worked a lot of years where I was making literally $80,000 to $100,000 for like 18 years and stuff, and it was all going to maintaining lifestyle, paying rent, paying for mortgage, paying for like lifestyle, and been my home life stable, and not like being where lights would get cut off, phones would get cut off, all that crazy stuff, keeping it stable where everything is cool and everything paid for and everything. But all I was doing was working. Wasn't working my life. I wasn't working what I was wanted to be in. I was working what society said, hey, all that other stuff, like doing that, it's like, that's risky, and you like, it kind of use up your good years working like chasing a fantasy dream and you're not economically stable and stuff like that. You can't go on trips, you can't pay your bills, you can't do nothing. You can't live a comfortable life, pay for groceries, pay for gas in the car. So I kind of fell in love with like just like being responsible and stable. So I done that for so many years and I felt unsatisfied. Felt like, wow, what was all this for? If end results is if you fall off or you go into a bad economic situation, it was like all those years it didn't even matter. Society don't care. What have you done for me lately? It's the life, it's the interaction you get with your like with the company. You'd be like, say, hey man, y'all business ain't doing so well and it's taking a dive, that my economics is taking a dive, or I gotta settle for less money, or the economics is not kind of being so fruitful as how it was. But they like, we don't care, you do the same level. No matter how much the company is going bad, the company needs more from you. And you're like, okay, what am I doing that for? And this is not my company. This is not like I could get fired any day, or I could get into an interaction with something and it just doesn't, I will lose all the hard work I've dealt with. So for me, I said, man, I can't work for another person. And if I'm going to do that, it's going to be because that's all I have. That's my only life. And I'm come to terms with that. So I told myself, nope, it's time for me to go into my field. It's time for me to use 100% or as much as my ability, mentally, intelligence, skill level, as much as I possibly can. So I threw myself into my field and everything. And it's been aggressive. It's been very challenging. At the same time, I feel filled and I utilize my brain and utilize my function and stuff like that. But yeah, I had to go through, man, I'm telling you, from 2018 to 2023. Oh my God. Horrible sacrifices. Horrible, like just trials and tribulations. Independence costs a lot of money. If you ain't got it. See, I didn't have, when I went into the stuff I went into, I didn't have that $250,000 to jump into it. And I didn't know either that you should have that and you could have great success if you got that kind of backing, got that kind of infrastructure set up for you to do whatever you're gonna do. I didn't know that, and so I had to go through trial and error and accomplish goals and execute on major multi-million-dollar, multi-billionaire infrastructure success. I had to come out to end with like success, nickel and diamond, executing on tasks and goals without any of that backing, and it tore my life up, put me in a bad economic status. I went through trauma, losing my truck and cool, great F-150. I had I went through the shit. Okay, I lost a lot. Relationships became very bad, man. Very bad. But I was okay with it. I knew before I stepped into it in 2018, I knew it. I said, man, in order to do something of substance and something of extreme value and to really give it your all, you gotta give it your all. Can't worry about comfortability. Can't worry about stability. You can't worry about the ease of things when you're accomplishing big goals. When you're accomplishing something that it takes a multi-million and billion-dollar infrastructure to even go at something like that. To go at a task like that, go at a goal like that. It's millionaires and billionaires that go for those goals. Who is you to go for those goals and you ain't got nothing? You don't got that kind of infrastructure. You got that kind of economic bank. And I tell everybody, yes, operation costs to go at anything in this life is what your prominence need to be. You need to always say, hey, did I accomplish this operation cost? If you didn't, that's a hell of an accomplishment because most and almost every person is going to fail without that infrastructure. To come out on the other side as success without that kind of backing, without that operation cost, without that infrastructure, a highly unlikely situation gonna succeed. Me, I went at a lot of stuff and I kind of did a lot of things where I kind of made sure my paperwork is right and but how I would look at it was like, I know when I make a movie and when I roll a camera and when I'm seeking to do an idea, I know it's something very substantial. It's got substance to it. It's got some quality there that might be appealing to 10 million people, 20 million people in a 350 million people infrastructure. I kind of know that I could dump 30 million people into that infrastructure and get good 2 to 7 million people to kind of get their eyeballs at it. And that would be what I need economically successful. I kind of knew that at that time. So it didn't matter to me what kind of destruction I did to my life, because I knew on the other side of it, all I got to do is complete. All I got to do is execute on it. All I got to do is somewhat keep what was constructed in the script, what was constructed in the blueprint, to keep that somewhat, pull it kicking and screaming into end results, to the final render, to the final actual package. If I could somewhat get the idea that I had, if I could somewhat get that idea I put into the script, the blueprint, if I could somewhat get that to the actual final edit, the final media file, then I knew I wouldn't lose what was perceived to be the economic value, because I kind of built it with, okay, cast these certain people because this is what TBS likes to look at. This is what BET likes to look at. This is what the demographic of Detroit likes to look at. This is what Tennessee likes to look at. This is what Atlanta likes to look at. This is what they like to hear. This is what the structure that they kind of like to look at. This is the baseline of Tubi and stuff like that. If I kind of build it with understanding what's the floor, then I could kind of shoot for the moon and kind of do some really great stuff because the base is there. But I can really do some things that I feel like will represent it as a pretty lofty goal. You know what I mean? So I say this because as we listen to social influencers and to people as they communicate about men and how men think and how men kind of interact and stuff like that, we need to remember that you're listening to someone communicate their idealism of how to do things, how to be a man or a person. In order for you to be able to do it, be able to utilize the information, utilize the education, utilize the training, you have to have within you the ability to take it in, comprehend, and apply. And if you could take it in, comprehend it, and apply, it's already information you have within you. You just haven't constructed it to put it in a formula for yourself in order to utilize it to be effective in your life. Look, everything I'm telling you, I've went through it, I'm going through it, and I see myself on the other end of it. And I'm telling you, we are our own answers. It's a lot of information. A lot of the stuff that education and the manosphere and podcasters and the level up culture, all that stuff that they're telling you is already from Henry Ford and Einstein and Booker T. Washington and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and Jay-Z and Will Smith and Michael Jordan. It's already in how they executed on what they executed. They're nothing new. None of their success is new. It's not anything in the effective way of them even interacting and accomplishing what they do. It is nothing like miracle or alien. It is certain structure of 1 + 1 is 2 that they just utilize and looked at it so regimentally and so consistently that it's the outcome that they have, and you have that ability too. So if we're gonna I'm not saying don't listen to podcasters, don't listen to social influencers. They got great conversations that they're having and great things that sometimes your life is a little bit more chaotic, or you're in the shuffle of doing things and accomplishing things, that sometimes you need things concisely communicated to you, or entertainment, or a conversation that you may be listening to, that you may say, okay, hey, let me listen to that. But if it's concise and packaged well, then it's something that you could take in and say, yeah, I take that. Well, how they say, eat the meat, spit out the bones. And you do that to every single human being that you listen to, or you communicate, or you ingest what they're or saying or what they're doing. Exterior yourself. You eat the meat and spit out the bones. What ain't good for you, what ain't useful for you, don't ingest it. Don't apply it. Apply what you know that is valuable to you, that you absolutely can use and put into motion. So that's my message, and that's what I want. I know, you want to go further into this conversation, but I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. I think anything that you listen to after what I've just got to say will give you as much stuff. But let's listen to them and see if I can have a human conversation with you about what the conversation that they're having, because I really truly think once he said that about his education, I think that was him almost affecting the point of even him having a conversation and you listening to him. So let's go. Yeah, I want to hear the music. See, an events company. Where you gonna run that? His education and his business acumen gave him that. See, watch this. Watch this. Bachelor in Business, Master in International Marketing. I don't remember that. And watch what this is. But what Tucker is doing is great, because he's been a great interviewer, and the guy, he's gonna, if you can comprehend the conversation that they're having. I don't know. I'm sorry for interrupting it. If you can have ingest the conversation that they're having. I forgot to put this on screen. Let me put it back on screen. Sorry about that, guys. If you get ingest the conversation that they're having, you can see his flaws, and if he's such a successful guy and has flaws in his conversation, that's stupid. He's not a stupid guy. If he has inaccuracy in his conversation and contradiction in his conversation, that means he's trying to manipulate the ingestment of what he's saying. That's just the way it is. That's why you have to listen to a person, engage in a conversation, a podcast, information, teachings, anything, with understanding that you have the ability to comprehend, and you have confidence in your ability to comprehend.
archetypes and the roles that they would have previously stepped into aren't there in quite the same way. There's been a lot of structural changes that have adjusted the landscape that men and boys exist in over the last 50 years. And that means that a lot of the role models and examples and well-trodden paths don't feel like they're there in the same kind of way. So navigating those structural changes as a young man is not easy.
So what did you take your degrees in? What did you study?
Bachelor's in business and a master's in international marketing. I can't remember either of them.
And then did you go into international business when you left school?
Not even remotely.
What did you do?
I sat down in my first ever seminar the week after Freshers Week in the first week of university, sat next to a guy, and I said, I've spent all of my money partying in my first week of university. I'm skint. I've run out of cash. I need a job. And he's like, well, I'm going to go and hand out flyers for a nightclub. Maybe you could come and see if you can get a job doing the same thing. That guy that I sat next to in my first seminar for quantitative methods, 15 years later, was still my business partner. I was groomsman at his wedding. We did 1 million lifetime entries throughout nightclubs together. So that one thing, that sort of chance meeting that we had, I started running an events company and then got to the end of my 20s and had a change, an existential change that meant that I started doing my podcast, Modern Wisdom.
Before that change happened.
See this. Oh, that's what upsets me. And I'm sorry I got to use Chris Williamson for this. But I see this in so many podcasters and they have podcasts and consultations and all this stuff. They do this rope-a-dope conversation, this psychological manipulation, this fast, quantitative, easy conversation. They do this like this mind F, okay? I don't know if I cussed yet, so I'm gonna hold back. But they do this mind F conversation with viewers and people that communicate. Dude, okay, did you go into international marketing when you left college because you got a master in it? No. Okay. What did you do? You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna take you to, you're asking me what I got my master's in and what I got my bachelor's in. Did I go into that field? After a master takes about 8 years. An additional bachelor, that's another 4 to 6 years. So we're talking his whole college years was about 8 to probably, I'll say, could have been doing his bachelor at the same time. So in the other field, so he had to be doing 12 to 15 years of education in college. Okay. So he's asking him, okay, what did you go into after college? He goes back to his first semester in college. Oh, the first week of college, I was banging girls and drinking and having a good time, living my life, living a good, soft life. Oh, I need to make some money. A guy was handing out flyers to a club and everything. He said, okay, maybe you could come with me and go to this guy that probably wants you to help him, help me pass out flyers and he can give you a job doing this. Okay? Oh, that guy ended up being my business partner to this day. What? Y'all handing out flyers. So now you hear Tucker is about to say, okay, before you guys became partners into a conglomerate podcast company that you make it, talking about his podcast, I forgot the name of it already. But he before you guys became multi-millionaires in that podcast, what did you do in between enrolling in college to being a master in international business, and now you guys got a successful multi-million-dollar podcast? What did you do in between? Why? Because men need to know it's what's relative in this conversation that is probably the same journey I'm going through and the mindset that I'm already probably have, and that let me know to keep it going, keep up with it, man. Give some kind of relativeness to the people the men that are watching you. They need to connect as a human being. They need to have some kind of relevance to what you're saying. Unbelievable.
Did you ever pause and think, I got a master's degree in international business, but in real life, I'm a nightclub promoter and I'm succeeding. I mean, you succeeded in the business.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. So the disconnect between your training and your work couldn't be more profound.
To a degree, to fly the flag for the nightclub promoters out there. It's a wonderful training ground for people to go into business and be successful in business, because you get a very broad perspective of.
I don't know how long I can handle this. Chris Williamson, man, dude. I understand. I don't know what this is. I don't know if he's talking to you, or and even Tucker. He's having a conversation like, come on, man. You had a master's. Like there's no relevancy to your master's degree in the successful business you did at a nightclub, or just nightclub promoters, blah blah blah. No. That's why you're in college. So while you're learning in college, you're applying that, and you're actually in how this club promoter promotes his business. You're using the process of what that is, and you didn't quit your college. You got a master. So you didn't have no master's the time that you started to do the club promotion and handing out flyers. You're admitting that you kept the promotion, the club promoter stuff. Throughout the whole time in college, you went to 12 years of college doing a bachelor's in business and a master in international marketing, and you decided to keep the club promotion stuff going while you're doing this actual 12 years of college, and then somehow you come out of college and get into and start your own club stuff? What's going on here? This is why I'm telling y'all, you can't listen to these people unless you can analyze what the fuck they saying to.
Club promoter, and I'm succeeding. I mean,
changes as a young man is not easy.
So what did you take your degrees in? What did you study?
Bachelor's in business and a master's in international marketing. I can't remember either of them.
And then did you go into international business when you left school?
Not even remotely.
What did you do?
I sat down in my first ever seminar the week after Freshers Week in the first week of university, sat next to a guy, and I said, I've spent all of my money partying in my first week of university. I'm skint. I've run out of cash. I need a job. And he's like, well, I'm going to go and hand out flyers for a nightclub. Maybe you could come and see if you can get a job doing the same thing. That guy that I sat next to in my first seminar for quantitative methods, 15 years later, was still my business partner. I was groomsman at his wedding. We did 1 million lifetime entries throughout.
So quantitative method. What is that? What is quantitative method? They throw shit out there because you're dumb. You're dumb. You're a dumb viewer, and you're just, my gift of gab is going to be so overwhelming to you that you're just going to look up to me and say, oh my God, what kind of cologne he wears? What kind of clothes he has? Or maybe I need to get a shirt like that. Maybe I need to get a necklace like that. Maybe I need to wear my hair like that. Maybe I need to have a shaggy, scruffy beard and stuff, and maybe that will make me a winner. Quantitative method is what? What is that? That means the ability to see scenarios and how it works for you. How you can utilize methods to achieve goals under any condition. That's what that means. It's wow. I'll be fair. I'll look up. I won't go to the top of my head. I will go to what it actually means. Okay, so I'm gonna look this up. That's what I'm doing right now. That's why I'm looking down. I'm looking up quantitative method. Quantitative method. Okay. Quantitative methods for business. That's what they they summarize it as. Okay. It's the process of collecting and analyzing numeric data. It can be used to find patterns and average, make predictions, test casual relationships and generalized results to wider populations. Meaning that scenario, looking at demographics, looking at a group of customers or a certain type of business that you're in, you're looking at who will be like ingesting this or purchasing this, and you're seeing ways to influence them to purchase your product, or you could get the best optimized business outcome from. That's what quantum I'm blinking out. Sorry. Quantitative method is, okay? Like I said, it was pretty much what I said before. I looked it up and read it to you guys, okay? It is a way of analyzing data. What's data? Something that is going on, something that happened, cause and effect, in how you perceive that cause and effect in various of scenarios of various component situations that happen that follows under that situation that may be perceived that, okay, if out of 100 people that this happened to, 70% had this outcome, had this effect from. Don't even get me started. I know I'm trying to summarize it, but that's what it is. So again, he's being full of shit.
Nightclubs together. So that one thing, that sort of chance meeting that we had, I started running an events company and then got to the end of my 20s. And
so within his 12 years of college, getting a bachelor in business and a master in international marketing, he started up a marketing company. While he was going to college, him and his friend, so they started to, and what that means is they started to do, like, make the flyers that the guy told them to pass out. They started getting into the business of saying, hey, maybe you should do this artwork like this. Maybe you should put this kind of phrasing on, use this kind of font, kind of have this kind of presentation to the people that we're passing the flyers to, and that will make your marketing better and you can get more viewers. Maybe you should say this, and maybe you should offer this in your club. Maybe you should do this. He got into that business to tell a company or a business how to have better outcome and have the marketing strategy that they already had or they had in mind. We're coming to give you a better marketing strategy. That's how we're going to get paid off of this. It's, wow. Listen to this guy. It's just like,
changes as a young man is not easy.
So what did you take your degrees in? What did you study?
Bachelor's in business and a master's in international marketing. I can't remember either of them.
And then did you go into international business when you left school?
Not even remotely.
What did you do?
I sat down in my first ever seminar the week after Freshers Week in the first week of university, sat next to a guy, and I said, I've spent all of my money partying in my first week of university. I'm skint. I've run out of cash. I need a job. And he's like, well, I'm going to go and hand out flyers for a nightclub. Maybe you could come and see if you can get a job doing the same thing. That guy that I sat next to in my first seminar for quantitative methods, 15 years later, was still my business partner. I was groomsman at his wedding. We did 1 million lifetime entries throughout nightclubs together. So that one thing, that sort of chance meeting that we had, I started running an events company and then got to the end of my 20s and had a change, an existential.
He started running an events company. So pretty much getting in the business of setting up parties and big events and stuff like that. Oh.
Change that meant that I started doing my podcast, Modern Wisdom.
Modern wisdom. Modern wisdom, meaning wisdom. Having wisdom is to not say what you just got through saying for about a minute or two and not having context to what you're saying. But wisdom is to know not to tell the people the actual details and structure to what you're saying, that they can utilize it and be effective with the information that you just heard you saying. Learn how to communicate where people still need data. They still need more information to what you just said, because they can't apply it to their life. So they sign up to your Patreon, sign up to your classes, sign up to your membership, in order to get a little bit of those nuggets and have better definition. But they could have listened to the podcast and the conversation that you had. Let's talk. You would see the con job. And this happening like this a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. It's happening like this in a loaf of bread that you buy.
Before that change happened, did you ever pause and think, I got a master's degree in international business, but in real life, I'm a nightclub promoter and I'm succeeding?
He's succeeding because he's getting that education in business. He's getting that education in international marketing. And that's helping him be able to communicate effectively to the club promoter, that the club promoter will put money into what he's doing, because you're utilizing high information, high data information, and acquired information. So that's what college is. Acquired information, and it's communicated to you in a structural way for you to ingest it into your life and apply it to different things that you might go into. So he's taking all the information and understanding that he's learning and data that he's gathering in college, and he's using it on the club promoter, that the club promoter be able to give him enough money for him to magnify himself, to even economically put himself in a position to make an event planning company. Unbelievable. Let's talk human, and let's not bullshit each other. Let's talk to you. Let's be effective for each other.
I mean, you succeeded in the business.
Correct. Yeah.
So the disconnect between your training and your work couldn't be more profound.
It was no disconnect. That's Tucker Carlson doing his job as an interviewer, and he's flaring up the guy's ego, stuff like that. But it's not profound, because there was no separation. It was all inclusive.
To a degree, to fly the flag for the nightclub promoters out there, it's a wonderful training ground for people to go into business and be successful in business, because you get a very broad perspective of how a business needs to operate: HR, management, B2B, B2C, customer complaints, marketing.
Oh, for sure.
It's that being said, I had a lot of fun. Should I have perhaps realized before 30 that maybe 1 pound Jaeger bombs was not my highest calling in life? Perhaps, but I was having a great...
See? He wants to make it seem like Chris Williamson. I got to change the name of this podcast to Let's Talk Human, because Chris Williamson likes to trick you and con you into thinking his early 20s was a waste, and it wasn't. And that's a long title, so I won't do that. Okay, but listen, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. His 20s was extremely effective. It was like he was in college learning a high professional business, understanding how to run a company. Any company, a hotel, a restaurant, clothing line, a bank, a podcast, whatever. You're learning how to effectively and really understand the structure of a company, and you can apply it to any company. He's learning that in college, business. And then he's not only stopping with business, he's actually magnifying himself to run any company in the world. So I need to know, if I was to go and run a Chinese person's company, and I was to go to China and say, hey, I want to help you run your company to a Western outcome, to the success that we have in Europe and in America, I want to give your company that kind of structure. And I know how to do that because I studied under international. I didn't study international marketing and international business. I mastered it. I got a master in it. So you could take any kind of business acumen inside of America or Europe, and he could take it to China. He could take it to Japan. He could take it to Dubai. He could take it to Saudi Arabia, and he can actually integrate himself in that culture because he studied the international business. So if you got a language barrier in international marketing, they show you if you got a language barrier with your actual subordinate or your leaders or the company that you're working for. This is how you structure your the language barrier breakage in order for you to still be effective in doing business and international marketing in that country. That's what they teach you in the college classes that he took. That's why the quantitative method shows him how to adjust American and Western and European and Western business to a Asia or a Middle Eastern market in business structure. Trust me, he's full of shit. Okay? And I'm sorry, I hope you see this. I doubt you're gonna see my little podcast, but if you do, you'll see he's doing a disservice to the people that's watching because you don't know how to apply this. But yes, all that is all encompassing and all exchangeable to the club promoter, to him learning the business of the club promoter, the business of all the stuff he was doing, and then he kind of magnified because his education was getting so high, even over the just doing a club, that he became an event planner where he said, I'm gonna not only set up where I can do clubs anywhere, but I'm gonna do this under any scenario, like black tie affairs and all kind of stuff. And that's how he made it business while he was in college for 12 years learning this, and he's making probably 6 figures or more doing this with his partner. And they white men, and they got European accents. This is all money. This is all money. This is all packaging and marketing and packaging of themselves to be able to walk into it was probably very few economic situations and business people that they kind of pitched to that they like, oh man, European boys, you guys look clean cut, you good looking white men. Yeah, hey, let's do that. Let's throw some money at that. You guys can't relate, and he's acting like you could. It's like you could take his methods and apply it in your life. You can't. You got to have the infrastructure and the financial backing and the platform that they jumped off from, and you don't. So how do you take what he did in his business and actually apply it in yours? You understand that when you walk and do business with a person, when you do kind of, how can I say, when you're interacting or you're magnifying or giving a business proposition to people, you almost have to take it or leave. You have to present yourself in confidence to what you're bringing to the table, and you walk away. If they want to, they want to. They'll see your sureness. But also, it does matter how you package yourself. What shoes you wear, what watch you wear, how you look. What's your grooming factor? It does play a factor to what you're trying to execute in the prominence of how you should present yourself when you walk into that situation. We all fell at this because we think certain things is okay, but it's not. Sometimes you got to be airtight on that. Give the confidence of the person that's got the money. You can actually probably do the job, probably execute, but they might use judgment to how you presented yourself. That's all in the equation. That's all in the quantitative method. That's all in the actual international marketing. It's all in the business structuring of how you business, how you present yourself. It does play a factor. It does take away 40%, 50%, 70%, 100%. They won't even talk to you. No, I'm not interested. Okay? All plays a factor.
Time. I worked with people that I really loved. My business partner and me had a fantastic relationship. So it was good, but yes, there is a...
Well, I'm just wondering, and I'm not in any way criticizing the job or any job that, basically honorable job that a man does is virtuous, in my opinion. I'm questioning whether you needed to spend 5 years in university to do that job.
Probably not. No. For me, the existing justification for university is it's a good way to... It's like Navy SEAL Hell Week for 3 years of socialization. You really get thrust into a lot of different experiences. You're living with new people. You have to navigate friendships and relationships and makeups and breakups and use executive function. Part perhaps you could do this if you got an apprenticeship or went into a job early. But at least for me, moving into halls of residence and having to work out who's paying for the electric bill, and I'm going to live with these new people, and I've fallen out of friendship with this person, and I need to navigate administration, all this stuff. It condensed down a lot of adulting into a very short period of time. And I think I came to university at 18 as pretty under-socialized and left at 23, like beyond totally ready to kind of dominate the adult world.
What advice do you give young men who ask you, what direction should I take?
Well, I think at least to start, finding out what you're interested in is a good place to begin. I mean, look, one of the problems of giving any advice to young men is that we need to do this strange kind of land acknowledgement, this social land acknowledgement before we start. If me and you are going to talk about the problems of young men, one of the first things we need to do, or typically that people expect, is, well, it's very important for us to remember that women are still falling behind in this area. And it's also important to remember that up until...
I can't even deal with that.
You understand what I mean, though, right?
No, I would never play along with that lie.
There is this odd expectation that in order to talk about the problems of men and boys, we first must identify all of the other issues and plights of other more deserving groups. And this is something...
What world is it? I mean, I'm amazed that requirement still exists or anyone takes it seriously. It's so absurd.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a shame. I think it's basically you saying, I know I'm about to talk about a group that you think might have previously been in a privileged position, but now it's really important that we talk about some of the shortcomings that they're dealing with. I'm going to show that I am on side, I'm an ally, and I understand how this is framed in the broader context of whatever. This is something that I've become particularly frustrated with, this social land acknowledgement thing.
The requirement to self-castrate before saying obvious things.
Yeah. And we don't do it in the opposite way, right? We don't say...
some of us don't do it at all.
We're going to have a conversation about breast cancer, but it is important.
See, Tucker's challenging him on his thing. He's trying to have a conversation about how pathetic men are and how much they need to kind of realize, like, how much they always had privilege and women didn't. He's trying to be a feminist in a way. You get what I'm saying? And Tucker's stepping all over, telling him, I don't give a shit. Ain't no way in hell to better men that we should think about what's better for women. And absolutely, what's better for women is great outcome for men. That's how that works. It's science. It's common sense. It's cause and effect. It's nature. The best for women is the absolute best for men. What's best for men, meaning like, if you want to have good outcome for women, you got to make sure you have great outcome for men, because they get the repercussions of it. They don't get like great success for women and then you could go and give best outcome for men. No, in order to give great success to women, you got to destroy men. That's how that is. You have to degrade and weaken men. That's how that is. I don't know why it's like that, and it's cause and effect. But for some reason, the way that nature is, the way that cause and effect is, you have to give great outcome to men, and it trickles down, and or at the least it does a reflex of positiveness to women. It automatically, they get the benefits of it. You always hear if you ever hear a real man get to the point of absolution with the women in his life or the women around him, he'll tell you like, hey, the great outcome of you is because of me. You get the benefit. You're the beneficiary of how I would destroy myself for greatness. You get the benefits of that. You get to enjoy that. You get to enjoy the money that I make. You get to enjoy the success that I have. You get to enjoy the conquering that I do. You get to enjoy it. You can't enjoy it if you're out there trying to fight like I'm fighting. Because we both come home and we're exhausted and we need some kind of relaxation, but you don't want the relaxation that I want because you just want to go to sleep. You just want to relax. You just want peace. You get what I'm saying? Men want physical with a woman and the physicality. They want to feel the war that they just fought was worth it. So that's the problem. It's too much. It's a conversation. It's conversation that's happening under the conversation. Tucker kind of came in and started cutting him off to his idealism where he was about to drive the conversation. But I don't even think Tucker even noticed that he was going to drive it to some old pathetic men all. And first we got to start understanding why men are complaining so much. Why they acting like, like it's like they can't step up or something like that. He was about to go down into the weekend of men, but it say like, hey, first we gotta start to understand that we need to probably see it in a woman's way. Look, I might be wrong, but I know and plus I heard conversation that Chris Williamson said in other podcasts, and he's about to get it. I think his point of view just got turned around a little bit. And he's going to have to come through it he's got to use the sporadic method where you kind of know your opponent across from you. And you kind of go into a conversation that you wasn't going to go into, but now you're in it.
Show specializes in men's shirts designed for the great outdoors. Their flannels are
live with these new people, and I've fallen out of friendship with this person, and I need to navigate administration, all this stuff. It condensed down a lot of adulting into a very short period of time. And I think I came to university at 18 as pretty undersocialized and left at 23, like beyond totally ready to kind of dominate the adult world.
What advice do you give young men who ask you, what direction should I take?
Well, I think at least to start, finding out what you're interested in is a good place to begin. I mean, look, one of the problems of giving any advice to young men is that we need to do this strange kind of land acknowledgement, this social land acknowledgement before we start. If me and you are going to talk about the problems of young men, one of the first things we need to do, or typically that people expect, is, well, it's very important for us to remember that women are still falling behind in this area. And it's also important to remember that up until...
I can't even deal with that.
You understand what I mean, though, right?
No, I would never play along with that lie.
There is this odd expectation that in order to talk about the problems of men and boys, we first must identify...
Meaning that it's a lie to set the parameters of the course of women in order to say, hey, you need to be a warrior. You need to understand that you are the value. I always say this to people, and I'm starting to say it a lot, even when I'm in my no bullshit attitude mode right now. I tell people that men innately have greatness in them. They're born with it. It's in our DNA, not our family orientation DNA. It's in our genetics. It's in the physicality of the binariness of our actual, if that's a word. It's in the genetics of our bones. It's in the genetics of our breathing, of our heart, of our brain, how we physically do things, who we physically are. Our greatness is in men. I don't care women. All the men that you got, women think are losers, those are great men. They just out of circumstance. They're out of structure. They're out of the makeup and the societal situation that they're built for. They're out of it. They're compromising too much. They're adjusting too much to social dynamics and the social experience, the social experimentation situation that we've been in for the last 50 to 70 years. This is all new. Society, human interaction, men and women, how we conduct ourselves, what's cause and effect, how we even complement each other. We got 2,000 to 3,000 years of it, and we have 70 years that we went totally against everything about human beings. The function, the DNA, the chemistry, the structure of the common sense formula and natural formula of men and women. We got 3,000 years of it functioning consistently. And then we got 70 years going against all that history. all that study, all that outcome, all that way of consistency of function. We got 70 years that we've been actually doing some weird experimentation of this feminist and this weird feminine or gentile way of doing things. And the outcome is what most people are complaining about, that you don't have stability of function from men to women, women to men in societal situations. It all comes because we're so out of pocket. Okay?
All of the other issues and plights of other more deserving groups. And this is something.
What world is it? I mean, I'm amazed that requirement still exists or anyone takes it seriously. It's so absurd.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a shame. I think it's basically you saying, I know I'm about to talk about a group that you think might have previously been in a privileged position, but now it's really important that we talk about some of the shortcomings that they're dealing with. I'm going to show that I'm on side, I'm an ally, and I understand how this is framed in the broader context of whatever. This is something that I've become particularly frustrated with, this social land acknowledgement thing.
The requirement to self-castrate before saying obvious things.
Yeah. And we don't do it in the opposite way, right? We don't say,
some of us don't do it at all.
We're going to have a conversation about breast cancer. But it is important for us to remember that male suicides account for nearly as many deaths as breast cancer do, and men are falling behind in education and employment, and there have been these structure. And now that we have done this, we can finally get onto talking about breast cancer.
We're excited to announce a new partner of our show, Poncho Outdoors. Poncho specializes in men's shirts designed for the great outdoors. Their flannels are
I'm an ally, and I understand how this is.
Soft shirts are the go-to when temperatures drop. Poncho shirts are perfect for everything you right now. Each shirt is comfortable, durable. Outdoors.com/Tucker. Enter your email for $10 off your first order. That's Poncho, Poncho, outdoors.com/Tucker for $10 off and free shipping. When they ask, how'd you hear about Poncho? Let them know the Tucker Carlson Show sent you with maximum enthusiasm. Has it occurred that there's a connection between these phenomena?
Which ones?
Well, that maybe men are in a dire state because they have been browbeaten and demoralized and attacked for their immutable qualities that they can't control, that they were born with. And this has gone on for like 40 years, and all it has done is destroyed men and make women crazy. Like the whole thing is just terrible. It's like the worst thing that's happened ever in the West. So like maybe there's a reason men have no direction and are addicted to porn and a million other things, because they're told constantly that their lives don't matter.
Yeah, well, I think we've seen a lot of structural changes, and what's really interesting is how this is coming to land existentially, psychologically, like karmically within men. But the structural changes are what I think kicked a lot of this going. So education and employment are the two big ones for men. In education, it seems like the current education system was always set up in a manner that women, girls were going to overperform in. They had the brakes put on them for a while with regards to encouragement and their acceptance toward university. Girls are better to sit down. They're good highlighter people, and they're more conscientious than boys are on average. They're less rambunctious. They're good for if you need to sit quietly in a classroom for 6 hours a day. Yes. They crush it. They absolutely crush it.
More obedience, less creativity.
Yeah, and less disruption as well, which is a huge big deal, especially when there are 3 times as many female fighter pilots in the US Air Force as there are male kindergarten teachers in the United States. 2% of kindergarten teachers are men. It's about 7% of fighter pilots are female. And this means that being able to deal with the disruptions of young boys is tough. What this has resulted in is girls starting to outstrip in terms of performance boys. So since Title IX was introduced 50 years ago, just to get more girls into higher education, the gender gap between men and women then is smaller than it is now, but it was in the other direction.
Yeah.
So there are fewer men going to college than women now than 50 years ago when Title IX was introduced. So women have just blown through the glass ceiling that was supposed to be there.
And if you break it up by graduation rates, It's overwhelmingly female.
7 times more men than women dropped out of college during COVID.
Right.
So all of that together means you have 2 women for every 1 man completing a 4-year US college degree. Like,
Is that true? It's 2 to 1.
2 to 1. We're almost there. Some campuses, it's nearly 3 to 1 in terms of the ratio. So you have education, more women than men completing a 4-year US college.
Okay, so you get the point. You guys can go to Tucker Carlson. This is his interview with Chris Williamson. He did it on November 3rd. So you guys go there and watch it. But my point of even talking about this thing is to let you guys understand, like, just how people talk, social influencers and the podcast and guys that talk about men and women and like even just like men attitude and stuff. Guys, take anything from this episode. Understand that you are your own worst enemy. You are a person that can get you out of obviously you're in a foxhole by yourself. That's just the way it is. And you're gonna have to empower yourself with your own understanding of yourself. And first you gotta understand that the journey that you have taken, the journey that your life have gone through is not a bad thing. It's your journey. How do you want to end it? How do you want to structure it? You know what I'm saying? And what's the story you're trying to tell about your life? And that's what we all gotta come to terms. Like I said, I went through a lot over the last 8 years. It was a lot. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It was a lot, but it was the journey I had to take from where I come from, and it's just the road I had to go through, and it's just it's the science and the nature of my life. So, my name is Darius D. McKinney. This is Let's Talk Human. I just wanted to kind of come in and give you guys an example of having a human conversation instead of a psychological pontificating persuasion of conversation. That's not a real conversation. Hey, what you say it should be common sense, and it should be able to be applied to everyone's life. Even if it's something that's out of their norm, buying a Bentley or buying a mansion and stuff that may not be in our norm, but take us through the process of how you got there. Sometimes some of these rich and privileged people, or some of these people that got a little bit more privileged background or privileged education or privileged support of a mentor or something, may make it where it's not the same journey, but there's some structure there that's actually can be applied no matter what the background is. Okay, my name is Darius D. McKinney. This is Let's Talk Human, and I will see you guys soon.